from the heart of Delta State. You are tuned in to Srtv Asaba.
Good morning and welcome to Srtv Morning News, reaching you live from our studios in Asaba. I'm your host, Obama Gabriel Joy. Thank you for joining us this morning. Here are the stories making headlines across the nation. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu approves a new military salary structure, raising the armed forces wage bill to 924 billion naira, with junior personnel receiving the highest pay increase. The defense headquarters extends its surrender policy to armed groups in the southeast, south, and southwest as part of efforts to tackle insecurity. The Nigerian Immigration Service dismantles an alleged transnational human trafficking syndicate in Lagos, arresting 12 foreign nationals and rescuing 2 victims. Stakeholders raised concerns over safety standards as Nigeria accelerates its transition to compressed natural gas and electric vehicles. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar criticizes the 1.8 trillion naira allocation to the Federal Cooperative College in the 2026 budget. And in sports, the Super Falcons face Egypt today in a decisive Women's Africa Cup of Nations group match as they seek a place in the quarterfinals. Those are the headlines. Now the news in detail. Military salaries rise as Tinubu approves new pay structure. Now, the president has approved a comprehensive review of salaries for members of the Nigerian Armed Forces, marking one of the most significant welfare packages for military personnel in recent years. The new takes effect on the 1st of September this year. Junior personnel will receive the highest percentage increase. Soldiers from the rank of private to staff sergeant will benefit from an 80% salary increase, while officers from officer to colonel will receive a 50% adjustment. Senior officers, including brigadier generals, up to will receive a 30% increase. The presidency says the new salary package reflects the administration's appreciation for the sacrifices made by the military personnel in combating terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, and other security threats across the country. According to the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the graduated structure ensures that those in or at the lower ranks, who often bear the greatest operational burden, receives the highest level of financial support. The review will increase the annual military salary bill from approximately 660 billion naira to 924 billion naira, representing an additional 264 billion naira in government expenditure. The announcement has drawn positive reactions from retired military officers, many of whom describe the salary increase as a welcome step towards improving morale and boosting operational effectiveness. Meanwhile, the defense headquarters say its policy encouraging non-state actors to surrender has now been extended beyond Nigeria's northern region. Now, it has announced that its surrender policy for non-state actors now applies across all regions of the country. Previously focused on insurgents and bandits operating in the northeast, northwest, and north central, The initiative has been now extended to armed groups operating in the Southeast, the South-South, and the Southwest. Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Michael, disclosed this while responding to questions from journalists in Abuja. According to him, individuals willing to lay down their arms will be received by the armed forces in line with the provisions of international humanitarian law and Geneva Convention before being handed over to the appropriate legal authorities. The defense headquarters also clarified that there is no deadline for surrender, explaining that the opportunity remains open to anyone willing to renounce violence. The announcement follows the recent surrender of suspected militants to troops of Operation Udoka in parts of the Southeast. Military authorities insist that while security operations against criminal groups will continue, opportunities for peaceful surrender remain an important aspect of efforts to restore lasting peace. Security experts say combining military operations with rehabilitation and reintegration programs may encourage more fighters to abandon criminal activities, although they stress that victims must also receive justice. In another development, the Nigerian police says it remains committed to due process as controversy continues over allegations involving a senior police officer and a popular social media influencer. Now, it has invited influencer Martins Osei, popularly known as Very Dark Man, to assist in by providing evidence to support allegations he recently made against senior police officer, Assistant Inspector General Moshood Jimo. The invitation, according to police authorities, forms part of an ongoing effort to ensure transparency and accountability within the force. Police also confirmed that AIG Jimo has been invited for questioning by the Force Criminal Investigation Department. In a statement issued by the Force Public Relations Officer, the police explained that the criminal matter referenced in the influencer's public comments had already been investigated and was currently before a court of competent jurisdiction following legal advice from the Directorate of Public Prosecutions. Although the authorities emphasized that the matter will not or would not be decided through social media campaigns or public, but through the judicial process. The force says its actions have recorded another breakthrough in the fight against human trafficking and fraudulent recruitment. The Nigerian Immigration Service has dismantled an alleged transnational human trafficking and fraudulent recruitment syndicate operating in Lagos State. According to the service, 12 foreign nationals were arrested during coordinated operations, while 2 Liberian victims were rescued. Officials say the suspects allegedly lured foreign nationals into Nigeria with false promise of employment and business opportunities under the guise of a network or a network marketing organization. The suspected leader of the syndicate, identified as a Burkinabe national, was arrested alongside 11 other suspects, including Liberian and Cameroonian nationals. The Immigration Service says all suspects have been transferred to its headquarters for further investigation and possible prosecution. Authorities describe the operation as another significant step in Nigeria's efforts to combat human trafficking, illegal migration, and transnational organized crime. Security agencies continue to encourage members of the public to verify employment opportunities and promptly report suspicious recruitment activities. And now to aviation. Nigeria's largest airline, Air Peace, has expanded its regional network with the commencement of scheduled flight operations connecting Lagos, Conakry in Guinea, and Bamako in Mali. The airline says the new route is aimed at strengthening trade, tourism, and economic cooperation amongst West African countries while providing travelers with more convenient and reliable travel options within the region. The inaugural flight departed the Muritala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos over the weekend and was received in Guinea by government officials, aviation regulators, and members of the Nigerian community. Air Peace says the expansion aligns with its commitment to promoting regional integration and supporting the objectives of the African Continental Free Trade Area through improved air connectivity. The industry observers believe the new route could stimulate commercial activities, increase investment opportunities, and deepen diplomatic and its West African neighbors. Still on transportation, stakeholders in Nigeria's automotive industry are calling for stricter, safer standards as the country moves towards the widespread adoption of compressed natural gas and electric vehicles. The concerns were raised at the third edition of the Nigerian Auto Industry Summit held in Lagos, where industry experts warned that inadequate regulation, poor installation practices, and the circulation of uncertified components could pose significant safety risks and undermine public confidence. The Standards Organization of Nigeria says while CNG and electric vehicle technologies are globally recognized as safe, the use of substandard equipment and weak enforcement of standards could lead to avoidable accidents and discourage investment in the sector. The Federal Road Safety Corps also disclosed that it is developing standard operating procedures to regulate the deployment and operation of CNG and electric vehicles across the country in line with international best practices. Stakeholders say as Nigeria pursues cleaner and more affordable transportation alternatives, public safety, consumer awareness, and strict compliance with established standards must remain top priority. They also called for greater collaboration amongst government agencies, manufacturers, and private investors to ensure the country's transition to clean mobility is both safe and sustainable. Meanwhile, political activities are gradually gathering momentum ahead of the 2027 general election, with Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani expressing strong confidence in President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's chances of securing a second term in office. The governor made the remarks during the flag-off of the 122-kilometer Kaduna-Birmin-Gwari Road project, where he commended the federal government for ongoing infrastructure development in Kaduna State. According to the governor, the administration's investments in road and other critical projects have strengthened public confidence in the president's leadership, particularly across the northern region. He further stated that the North would continue to support the president, expressing optimism that the region will deliver overwhelming support for the president in the 2027 presidential election. The comments have since generated political reactions as parties and stakeholders continue to position themselves ahead of the next electoral cycle. Atiku questions the 1.8 trillion budget allocation. He criticized the federal government over this allocation to the Federal Cooperative College, or Orji River, in the 2026 Appropriation Act. Now, Atiku's reaction follows reports by civic technology organization Tracker, which indicated that the institution was designated to implement thousands of capital projects across the country. In a statement issued on Tuesday, the former vice president described the allocation as inconsistent with the government's claims of fiscal discipline, especially at a time when many Nigerians are grappling with rising living costs and economic hardship. He also commended civil society organizations for promoting transparency in public finance and called for greater accountability in the implementation of the national budget. The federal government is yet to issue an official response to the latest comments. And now to sports. Nigeria's Super Falcons face a crucial test as they take on Egypt in their final Group C match at the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Rabat, Morocco. The Falcons head into the encounter needing a positive result to boost their chances of qualifying for the finals after bouncing back from an opening defeat with a narrow victory over Zambia. Head coach Justine Madugu will be without defender Tosin and midfielder Jennifer, both of whom are suspended for today's match. Although Egypt have lost their opening two fixtures, the Nigerian camp says the team remains focused and is treating the game with the seriousness it deserves. Kickoff is later, with football fans across the country expected to keep a close watch as the Super Falcons continue their quest for another continental title. Meanwhile, one of Africa's biggest football stars could be on the move. Turkish club Trabzonspor has confirmed it is in discussions with Egyptian forward Mohamed Salah over a possible transfer. The club says Salah is expected in Turkey today for talks following the end of his spell with Liverpool, where he established himself as one of the club's greatest players. Should the move be completed, it would mark another significant chapter in the career of the Egyptian national. And now to entertainment. Afrobeat superstar Davido is expected to address a journalist today in Osogbo, Osun State, as political activities intensify ahead of the state's governorship election. Now, according to a statement released by the singer, the press conference will focus on security, the preparedness of the INEC, and concerns surrounding transparency in the electoral process. Davido, who was recently appointed chairman of the Imola Youth Mobilization Committee for Governor Ademola Adeleke's re-election campaign, has played an active role in mobilizing support ahead of the poll. The artists say the briefing is intended to address issues of public interest and encourage a peaceful, credible, and transparent electoral process. The Osun governorship election is scheduled to hold later this month, with political parties continuing campaigns across the state. Now, in a lighter story, renowned cleric and general overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, has shared how late boxing legend Muhammad Ali influenced his outlook on life. Speaking during a sermon ahead of the church's 74th annual convention, Pastor Adeboye recalled lessons he learned from the former heavyweight champion, particularly the importance of strategy, discipline, and preparation. He told worshippers that while life presents many challenges, true victory comes from relying on God for wisdom and direction. And now to the weather forecast for today, Wednesday, August 5th. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency forecasts morning thunderstorms across parts of the northern states, including Sokoto, Kano, Katsina, Bauchi, Taraba, Adamawa, with more rain expected over Kaduna and the northeast later in the day. In the north central, cloudy conditions are expected in the morning, while thunderstorms are likely in the afternoon and evening across the Federal Capital Territory, Benue, Kogi, Kwara, Niger, Nasarawa, and Plateau states. Now, for the southern region, cloudy skies will give way to moderate rainfall later in the day, especially across the southeast, the south, and parts of Ondo, Ekiti, and Oyo states. Now, the agency advises residents in flood-prone areas to remain alert, to avoid flooded roads, and take necessary precautions during thunderstorms. And that's for SRTV Morning News this morning. Thank you for joining us. Coming up at 10 is State of the Nation with Daddy Chris. Do stay with us. I'm Obama Gabriel Joy. Have a pleasant Wednesday. Good morning.